Hello, dear listener. Tonight, we open the doors to a world lost in the mists of time. Perhaps you're wrapped in a blanket. Perhaps you're at a silent window watching the stars. Wherever you are, if you can hear my voice now, it means the echoes of the past can hear you too. This story reaches toward the place where humanity first tried to give meaning to the sky. Before there were cities, people carved their faith, fears, and dreams into stone. Tonight, I will take you to the stone circles of Göbeklitepe. Together, we'll hear the first prayers, the first curiosities, the first awakenings of consciousness, whispering through the wind. If you enjoy calm yet profound historical narration, don't forget to subscribe, because in every episode, we will listen to another whisper from humanity's ancient past. Now take a deep breath. The layers of time are parting, and the stones are awakening. Tonight, we set out toward one of the quietest yet deepest awakenings in human history. There was no writing yet. The wheel had not been invented. Cities and kings were unborn. But people listened to the silent language of the stars and touched stone with consciousness. Perhaps the first prayers in history were not spoken with words, but with stones, alignments, and frequencies. Over Göbeklitepe, the same wind still blows. As it moves among the 12 circular enclosures and the great facing T-shaped pillars, it seems to whisper an ancient melody carried in the memory of the stones. Before time began, humanity chose to remember. Not the beginning of history, but a forgotten end. Göbeklitepe lies 15 kilometers northeast of Şanlıurfa in the heart of the Fertile Crescent. Dated to 9,600 BCE, it existed before all known civilizations. These structures show that even before the shift to agriculture, hunter-gatherers built ritual spaces. In other words, first came the temple, then the village. Klaus Schmidt's discovery in 1994 changed the history books at their roots. These stones seem to say that humanity believed first and then began to produce. This may have been where the idea of the divine was born, the site of the first conscious contact with the sky. Scientists have identified more than 60 animal figures carved on the pillars: snake, scorpion, fox, crane, wild boar. Each appears to carry meaning. Some researchers think these arrangements encode celestial events, perhaps references to a year of the fox or to specific constellations. Stones that speak with the sky. The orientations of the pillars are not random. Archaeoastronomical analyses indicate alignments with Orion and Sirius. It is thought that a ceremony was held when Sirius first rose at the horizon. That implies both skywatching and the birth of time. So Göbeklitepe was a calendar, and also a laboratory, where human consciousness first tried to order the cosmos. The V-shaped snakes, sun symbols, and figures holding objects are not only art, they carry knowledge. These symbols would reappear thousands of years later on Mesopotamian tablets, as if knowledge moved not from hand to hand, but from mind to mind. The language of secrets and lost frequencies. Modern research shows that Göbeklitepe is not merely a pile of stones, but a structure that generates acoustic resonance. Its circular design amplifies sound at specific frequencies, suggesting that the rites performed here were not only auditory, but vibrational. Some physicists say these resonances correspond to frequencies that alter consciousness. In other words, this was not only a place of prayer, it was a place where the doors of consciousness opened. The T-shaped pillars with hands crossed on the chest are interpreted as abstract human forms. Certain esoteric teachings call them celestial beings or bearers of knowledge, symbols of reminders from the stars. the erasure of a civilization. Roughly 1,500 years later, Göbeklitepe was deliberately buried, an event almost without precedent. People dismantled their sanctuary, buried it, covered it with earth. Why? Some historians speak of environmental crises or social change. Esoteric readings call it the closing of an era. Knowledge was safeguarded, hidden until it would not be endangered. Some secrets must not surface before humanity is ready. This idea would, millennia later, become part of the Templars' philosophy. Perhaps Göbeklitepe was the first contact with sacred knowledge, and that knowledge would echo again in the stone walls of the Middle Ages. Children of the stars and cultural continuity. Thousands of years after Göbeklitepe was buried, Mesopotamian civilizations arose. Sumer, Akkad, Babylon, each wrote their gods while gazing at the sky. What stands out is how closely those gods resemble the animals and symbols carved at Göbeklitepe. Does this show direct cultural transmission, or a re-remembering from the depths of a collective mind? Perhaps humanity is a cycle of civilizations that continually remembers itself. From stones to stars, Göbeklitepe speaks not only of the past but of the future. These stones mark the starting point of our quest for meaning. Maybe every pyramid, every temple, every cathedral is an echo of that first circular space. Close your eyes now. Listen to the wind moving among the stones. It may be whispering the same message across millennia. You too came from the stars. Land of the gods, Mesopotamia and the birth of knowledge. A civilization between earth and stars. Many of humanity's firsts rose between two great rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates. This land is called Mesopotamia, between the rivers. In truth, it is more than geography. It is where humanity's memory begins. Here, for the first time, writing, the city, law, the calendar, temple, school, and library appeared. Behind these developments lay not only practical intelligence, but a belief in cosmic order. The Sumerians believed they spoke with the gods by observing the sky. Each star embodied a being, each planet a power. The scribes of the sky, Sumerian science. Archaeologists have found over 500,000 cuneiform tablets, not only prayers or trade records but astronomical observations. Clay tablets from the 2nd millennium BCE record Venus cycles, dates of lunar eclipses, star catalogues. The 70-tablet series Enuma, Anu, Enlil documented celestial phenomena systematically, linking movements of the moon, Venus, Jupiter with royal fates. The heavens were not only observed but interpreted, science and faith, two faces of the same clay. These observations grew through Babylonian and Assyrian periods into the ancient world's first astronomical system. The world of the gods, Anunnaki and celestial messages. Sumerian mythology speaks of a divine collective, the Anunnaki. They descended from the sky, from the heaven called An, shaped humankind and bestowed knowledge. Some read them as symbols, others as star-born beings. Modern scholars tend to see these myths as a symbolic language of skywatching, descent, as a metaphor for stellar influence on Earth. In Mesopotamia, the line between myth and reality stayed thin. God as less a physical person, more the working order of the universe. Ziggurats, temples of the sky. Terraced towers called ziggurats rose in the cities. Every tier was a step closer to the heavens. Priests watched the stars from above and recorded them. The remains of the ziggurat of Ur still stand. Its architecture, thousands of years after Göbeklitepe's stone circles, bears the same longing, to reach the sky. What began as a sky cult in circular stones now climbed in baked brick steps. Some archaeologists see alignments to specific stars, temple gates oriented towards Sirius and Venus, worship conducted in the rhythm of cosmic time. The legacy of knowledge and hidden codes. Tablets from Nippur, Lagash, Eridu and Uruk speak of knowledge from the gods. Mathematical ratios, measures, architectural plans. The Sumerian sexagesimal system still lives in our timekeeping. 60 seconds, 60 minutes. Mesopotamia's celestial mathematics breathes in every tick of the clock. Other tablets mention knowledges kept in the dark, secrets that must not be given to man. Some read this symbolically, others as traces of a lost lineage of knowledge. The light from Mesopotamia to Egypt. From about 3000 BCE, this current flowed west along the Nile Delta. Sumerian systems inspired Egyptian temple astronomy. Scripts differed. Symbols rhymed. Winged disk, star-watching priest, solar bark. Thus the celestial language that began with Göbeklitepe's silent stones passed through Mesopotamia's clay and was carved into Egypt's blocks of stone. The memory of the earth. Mesopotamia is quiet today, but beneath the soil, thousands of tablets remain. Each excavation opens deeper layers of the past. Every symbol reminds us of something never forgotten. Who understands the sky, understands the self. Close your eyes. Hear the voices of the Tigris and Euphrates. Between the stones, the same melody still whispers. Humanity's story flows from stars to earth and back again. The heart of light, Egypt, Sirius, and the geometry of eternity, where the sun is born. As the sun rises over the Nile, golden light spills across the water. Shadows stretch quietly along the pyramid's edges. In that silence, something endures, a consciousness that resists time. Ancient Egypt is not merely a civilization. It is a mirror in which humanity confronted mortality to understand eternity. Here, gods converse with stars. Priests read the sky like a sacred text. The pyramids are not only tombs but cosmic machines, grand geometric resonators directing light, sound, and energy. For Egyptians, death was not an end, but the start of a one-way journey toward the stars, especially Sirius. Sirius and the Way of the Gods. In Egyptian astronomy, Sirius, Sopdet, keyed the entire calendar. The Nile flood began when Sirius first rose at dawn, the birth of the new year, symbol of fertility, life, rebirth. Sirius was identified with the goddess Isis, guardian of life, mother of knowledge. When Osiris died, she raised him again with the power of the stars. Every Egyptian hoped to mingle with the stars after death. Modern studies confirm the Giza pyramids' precise orientations to Orion and Sirius. They are not only tombs, they are gates to the sky. Frequencies in stone and the architecture of sound. Measurements in the Great Pyramid's chambers reveal unusual resonances around 110 Hz, a frequency that fosters meditation and deep trance. Could the burial chambers have been consciousness passageways? When texts speak of the ascent of the soul to the light, perhaps the passage was not only metaphorical but vibrational. The echo we hear among Göbeklitepe's circles seems to live again in Egypt's stones. The Book of the Dead and the Journey of Consciousness. The Book of the Dead is no lament. It is a guide. Words, symbols, codes for crossing into the field of light. I am a child of the stars. My light walks in the dark. Not only a belief, but an ancient awareness that the human is a conscious being in the cosmos. Read alongside modern psychology and quantum consciousness research, these texts reflect intuitive knowledge of the inner universe. Perhaps the priests sensed parallel fields of consciousness for which science only now finds names. The golden ratio and cosmic geometry. Egyptian architecture prayed with mathematics. Pyramid base ratios approximate the golden ratio. The Great Pyramid slope angle corresponds to pi. Hardly coincidence. For Egyptian priests, the universe was order. Geometry, its language. Astrophysicists find similar proportions in cosmic matter distributions. Egypt's sacred geometry, intuiting the mathematical nature of reality. Children of the sun and the legacy of memory. Millennia later, Egypt's symbols live on. Solar disk, eagle's wing, the eye. From NASA mission patches to esoteric art, their traces persist, as if humanity refuses to forget its roots. Perhaps that's why we feel something unspoken under the stars at night. Once, those stars showed us the way home. A remembrance at the heart of light. As the sun sets by the pyramids, the stones turn from gold to red. The wind calms, yet a vibration remains, as if the stones breathe. It is the breath of builders, priests, kings, sky watchers, each whispering the same truth. The light has not forgotten you. Close your eyes. Breathe softly between the layers of time. History is the dream of those who remember. The lost map, Atlantis, Lemuria and the chain of forgotten wisdozens. Damaries beneath the water. The ocean's surface seems quiet. In its depths, stories sleep that time could not forget. Humanity's oldest question echoes here. Who was here before us? Across the world's ancient texts, the same tale repeats. A golden age, a great flood, a civilization lost beneath the sea. Maya tablets, Indian epics, Sumerian myths, even the Torah. Their voices converge on one name, Atlantis. Plato's testimony and the vanished island. In 360 BCE, Plato wrote of Atlantis in Timaeus and Critias. Beyond the Pillars of Heracles, the Strait of Gibraltar, lay a vast island civilization, its technology, science, and consciousness far ahead of its time. He said Egyptian priests told him the tale. 9,000 years before his day, it sank in a single night. Flood, convulsion, submergence. Scholars still debate whether Atlantis was real. Some place it near Santorini or the Azores. Others see a symbol of humanity's collective trauma. Intriguingly, recent sonar surveys on the Atlantic floor show symmetrical patterns and warlike traces. No proof yet, but the gap between myth and science narrows. Lemuria, the lost voices of the Pacific. In the east, deep in the Pacific, rises the legend of Lemuria. Coined in the 19th century within biology, it later grew, in esoteric traditions, into a highly spiritual culture living in profound harmony with nature, communicating by energy, close to light bodies. With the deluge it vanished, but its consciousness remains, they say, as energy points across the world, the Tibetan Plateau, the Hawaiian Islands, even ley lines around Göbeklitepe. Archaeological shadows and modern traces. Japan's Yonaguni monument cast fresh light. At 25 meters depth, a massive stepstone structure. Geologists call it natural. Archaeologists note symmetric tooling marks. Some date it to at least 12,000 years, nearly contemporaneous with Göbekli Tepe. Perhaps civilization's 0 point lies farther back than we thought. Göbekli Tepe, Atlantis, Lemuria, different links in the same chain of knowledge. The chain of lost wisdom and quantum memory. Modern physics says information is not destroyed, it changes form. Maybe vanished cultures obey the same law. Not gone, shifted in frequency. Quantum entanglement shows a connection beyond time, like recurring symbols across cultures. Spiral, triangle, eye, star, circle. Not mere motifs, but a language. The code of our communication with the cosmos. Voices from the depths of memory. In meditation, sound therapy, magnetic resonance, some frequencies, especially 528 Hz, are linked with DNA repair. Ancient cultures may have used similar tones in ritual. Temples of light in Atlantis. Prayers echoing underwater in Lemuria, all aiming at the same resonance, bringing matter back into harmony with consciousness. Perhaps that is why, in the ocean's silence, we still sense an echo, not vanished, but waiting. Light beneath time. Atlantis may be a legend, or a remembrance. What's certain is this tale belongs not only to the past, but to our inner world. Each of us holds a sunken city, forgotten knowledge, suppressed intuitions, lights that will rise again. What is forgotten is not lost, it simply goes deeper. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, listen to the ocean's quiet. Perhaps beneath that quiet, you'll hear the echo of your own past. The whys of the night, ancient Greece and the birth of cosmic science. The awakening of time and the birth of mind. Thousands of years after Atlantis sank, a new voice rose over the Aegean, the questioning human voice. No longer to speak with gods, but to understand the language of the universe. A word born here changed history. Philosophia, the love of wisdom. It inherited the work of star-watching priests, but sought answers now not in stone, but in thought. Pythagoras and the music of the universe. For Pythagoras, the cosmos was a mathematical order. Everything was number, even music. The tones of plucked strings were not just notes but vibrations of the cosmos. Musica universalis, the silent harmony of the spheres. When astronomers today describe resonant orbits, they touch the same insight. The universe is a mathematical symphony, the oracle of Delphi and depths of consciousness. At Parnassus sat the Pythia. Gases from the earth induce trance. Modern analyses found ethylene, which alters state of mind. Prophecy was not madness but expansion, an intuition later reborn in alchemy, psychology, consciousness studies. Heraclitus and the flow of energy. Nothing is fixed, everything flows. Modern physics, with its laws of energy transformation, echoes Heraclitus's intuition. Matter doesn't vanish, it changes form. As consciousness flows from Atlantis to Lemuria, Lemuria to Egypt, Egypt to Greece. The universe is a river of information. Platon and the world of forms. For Platon, the visible world is shadow. Truth dwells in a world of forms, beyond matter, akin to quantum theory's observer-shaped reality. Aristotle, in turn, centered observation, laying foundations of natural law. Thus, humanity learned to walk with spiritual and scientific steps together. Thought as research, not only research. Alexandria and the light of knowledge. On Egypt's coast rose the Library of Alexandria. Scrolls from many civilizations met: Egyptian astronomy, Mesopotamian calendars, Indian mathematics, Greek philosophy. There, Göbeklitepe's stone memory became papyrus. The library burned, yet knowledge spread. Wisdom did not die, it changed its address. The light of mind and the peace of soul. Ancient Greece bridged human consciousness and the divine. Rituals yielded to ideas, fear to curiosity. Since then, humanity's bond with the cosmos has never fully broken. Every question is a prayer, every discovery a remembering. Know thyself, and you will know the universe. Delphic inscription. Close your eyes. Hear the Aegean wind, the melody of waves. It still whispers. Wisdom is the universe echoing within us. Light in the dark. The Templars and the Lost Teachings. A secret brotherhood in Jerusalem. In the early 12th century, Europe wandered the dusty roads of the Crusades. Amid the chaos, a quiet brotherhood emerged in Jerusalem, the Templars, the poor fellow soldiers of Christ and of the Temple of Solomon. Officially, they protected pilgrims. Soon they became more. Warriors, monks, bankers, researchers, perhaps guardians of ancient law. Their headquarters stood upon the remains of Solomon's temple. There, they spent the 9 unknown years. What they found is still a mystery, but after that, everything changed. What was found in the temple? Legends say they unearthed the Ark of the Covenant, or lost texts of Jewish mysticism, even documents containing the mathematical codes of creation. Whatever it was, they returned to Europe with extraordinary power. They built a banking system, lent to kings, and turned from mere knights into sages. Temple geometry and energy order. Their buildings departed from ordinary architecture, round churches, octagonal plans, east-west alignments, hidden symbols. Traces of sacred geometry, from Göbeklitepe, Egyptian temples, Greek mathematics, seem to continue through them. Templars as engineers of energy. The Holy Grail, a symbol of wisdom. To some, the Grail is the cup of the Last Supper. To esoteric teachings, it is not an object but a state of consciousness, the embodiment of divine knowledge within the human. Not a stone to be found, but inner light. A brotherhood plunged into silence. By the 14th century, the Templars were among Europe's mightiest. Power breeds enemies. In 1307, King Philip IV moved against them. Heresy charges followed. Arrests, torture, pyres, yet no betrayal of knowledge. Grandmaster Jacques de Molay, at the stake, is said to have declared, "Truth does not burn." Their secrets were likely spirited away, to Scotland, Portugal, perhaps the New World, seeding what would later blossom as Freemasonry. Freemasonry and the ancient connection. Compass, square, light, eye. Templar and Masonic symbols closely mirror each other. Both traditions aim to preserve knowledge and refine the human. Alchemical imagery tells of inner transformation, purifying the stone, raising the light, uniting the triangle. Through dark centuries, knowledge traveled in invisible chains. From Göbeklitepe to Mesopotamia, from there to Egypt, to Greece, to the Knights, the same teaching echoing. Knowledge is light itself. Light from the ashes. Old cathedrals in Europe still bear their marks, a sun-facing cross in one corner, a golden spiral on a wall. Time passes, stones speak. They still whisper. Truth can be hidden, not destroyed. Close your eyes. Imagine candlelight in a dark cathedral. The light grows, touches the stone, and recalls an ancient wisdom. Darkness is only the road of light. The shadow of knowledge. The Middle Ages, the Inquisition, and forbidden science. Closed doors and burned pages. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, Europe sank into silence. Libraries hushed, workshops dimmed. Knowledge became synonymous with suspicion. Yet in that quiet, some minds still burned. In monastery cellars, monks secretly copied old texts and translated Eastern wisdom into Latin. While the shadow of the Inquisition grew outside, inside, pens raced the flames. Some knowledge is burned, yet never forgotten. The shadow of the Inquisition. In the 13th century, inquisitorial courts, to defend the faith, began to criminalize science. Watching the stars, brewing herbs, weighing a stone. Devilish curiosity. But every prohibition breeds hidden resistance. Alchemists continued their work, no longer only with beakers but with allegory. On paper, they spoke of turning lead into gold, in truth of purifying consciousness. Alchemy, the language of the soul, written in the grammar of science. The light of the East, Al-Jazari and Avicenna. Beyond Europe's darkness, light blossomed in the East. Al-Jazari built water-powered machines. Ibn Sina, Avicenna, mapped the human body. Al-Jazari's automatic musicians are early robotics. Avicenna's canon of medicine was Europe's standard for 700 years, often circulating covertly. Roger Bacon, the bold voice of science. In 13th century England, Franciscan Roger Bacon defied the hush. Without observation, experiment, and reasoning, no truth can be proven. A spark of the modern method. He was imprisoned, his works banned, yet his lines turned into Galileo's telescope and Newton's apple. Knowledge is not the enemy of faith, it is its depth. The secret language of alchemists. Across Europe, alchemists wrote in symbols of metals, elements, transformation. The gold they sought was not in the earth, it was within the human. Lead to gold, darkness to light. Chemistry became alchemy's air. Kabbalistic texts, Hermetic teachings, Templar traces. Again and again the same triad of light, purification, union, illumination. Opening the door to the Renaissance. Exiled knowledge and secret transmissions. Some scholars fled death. In Toledo, Palermo, Istanbul, forbidden texts passed from Arabic into Latin, a chain carrying the light back west. In time it shone in Florence, in Leonardo's notebooks, Copernicus's charts. What the Inquisition turned to ash became the seed of science, the light within the flame. The Middle Ages were humanity's own shadow. Fear wrestled knowledge. Knowledge was never fully defeated. When we look through a telescope today or decode a strand of DNA, we still hear the quiet prayers of those elders. Light is born from darkness. Close your eyes. Shelves, candles, dusty parchment. Listen for the scratch of the quill. The story of knowledge never ended. It is only being rewritten. The last door, parallel universes, quantum mind, and ancient energies. The final curtain of time. Time. Humanity long mistook it for a line. Ancient texts saw a circle, a breath without beginning or end. Göbeklitepe's rings were circles. Ziggurat steps spiraled toward a circle. Egypt's pyramids trace the cycles of stars. Now modern science confirms the ancient intuition. Time is not a line. It is a vibrating fabric. Quantum physics says past, present, and future may coexist. What our ancestors called eternal return appears today as the many worlds view, consciousness and the universe's reflection. Neuroscience explains consciousness as a product of the brain. Quantum inquiry whispers another possibility. Perhaps the brain does not produce consciousness. Perhaps consciousness uses the brain. Like a radio, change the frequency, hear another station. The music was always there. Ancient cultures said it differently. Resonance at Göbeklitepe, Egypt's sound chambers, the Greek logos, the Templars' grail. Different tongues touching the same universal frequency. For millennia, humanity may have played the same melody, with different instruments. Parallel worlds and sliding reality. Two entangled particles respond simultaneously across light years, a field of connection beyond space-time. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. Ancient scripts already framed it. All is one, Upanishads, as above, so below, Hermetica. Perhaps the universe is a hall of mirrors. With each step, we touch a different reflection. Some call it dream, some destiny, others parallel reality, the geometry of energy and the human body. Ancient teachings saw the body as a microcosm. Modern biophysics confirms that heart and brain generate fields that interact continuously with the world. Every thought, every feeling sends waves. Göbeklitepe stone layouts, Egypt's pyramids, Greek temple ratios, Templar architecture, all ordered those waves with the geometry of energy. So perhaps we were not building the stones, we were building ourselves. The awakening of the quantum mind. Theories of quantum consciousness suggest that mind arises not from quarks and atoms, but from their superpositions, an ocean of possibilities. The ancient all is one finds its modern echo. Meditation, resonance therapy, neural synchrony can tune brain regions to shared frequencies, evoking a felt sense of unity. A modern parallel to ancient chant in stone halls. Maybe the door of consciousness never closed. We simply forgot how to listen. The meeting of ancient and modern. The languages of science and mystery draw near. The universe breathes. Cosmic expansion and contraction. Light is the source of all. Energy, mass equivalence. E equals mc squared. Souls are connected. Quantum entanglement. Thought shapes reality. Observer effect. For millennia we have circled the same truth. The universe is not outside us. It echoes within. The last door. Now, at the end of this long journey, look back. The silent stones of Göbeklitepe became writing on Mesopotamian tablets. Light in Egypt's stones. Thought in ancient Greece. And knowledge in the hearts of the Templars. All these centuries, humanity has sought one thing, itself. Consciousness is not alone in the universe, for the universe itself is consciousness. Close your eyes. Let the boundaries of time, space, and body slowly soften. Breathe. For past, future, and present, unite in this breath. And you are no longer only a listener, you are a living part of this story. At the end of this journey, from antiquity to the Middle Ages, the hidden codes of humanity, history is no longer the past, it is awakened consciousness.